Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hello. Welcome to the Cars and Coffee with Kenny Brown show. I'm Cari with co-host Brad Grissom and Rich Cottrell. And today we have a great show. We are sharing our memorabilia, some Kenny Brown memorabilia with some stories. Kenny is going to share some information about bushings and rod ends. And Brad, what are you going to share? You have a special tech segment coming up.
Yeah, well, thanks to Rich, who mentioned this article he read online somewhere. He passed it along to me, and so there's some myths, I think, in that article that we need to talk about related to tires and a couple of other things. So
we're going to debunk some myths, is what it sounds like.
And kudos to Rich for the heads up.
Yes. And we also have a, go ahead.
I was going to say, we have a video that we're going to share. I also have a picture from a viewer that was sent in that I wanted to share with everyone as well. So, Cari, what's going on with the show today?
Well, I want to mention that we have a cool giveaway that we'll announce a little bit later when we're sharing the memorabilia. Many of you will love it. And Brad, why don't you take it away with what Kenny's sharing today?
Okay, so Kenny's recently, and thanks again to Rich, he funnels us all of these questions. So we've been getting a lot of questions from people about bushings and rod ends and using rod ends in the suspension. And I ran across this video. It's about 7 minutes, but Kenny goes in depth into all types of information about rod ends versus Delrin bushings, and he dives into some other stuff as well. So let's see if I can make this work here.
Rich has had a number of people call asking about Delrin, putting Delrin in their car versus urethane, and I've got some information I'd like to share, because Delrin seems to be a great big catchword. Everybody hears about Delrin. They have to have Delrin. Well, let's take a look at it. I mean, there's 3 different bushings that we use, bushing material that we use in our cars. I do use Delrin in some applications. I use a lot of urethane, and we use rod ends. Now, this is the urethane that we use, and here it's stiff, but we switched over to the black urethane a number of years ago because the black is silicone impregnated, which makes them last longer and work better. But it's just, listen to it. It's kind of like, it's kind of dull. It's got some give to it. And you listen to Delrin, it's really, really hard. Delrin is a polymer. I can't tell you the chemistry on it, but the whole purpose of it is low wear, and it has some lubricating values. So it's used a lot in a lot of different things. I only use Delrin on suspension bushings, like control arm bushing. I only use Delrin on race cars, and that's because we take a lot of time to make sure that, because this is so hard, we have to make sure everything is totally precise. Like front and rear is 100% in line, and the bushing and the control arm are a really close, perfect fit. Because what happens, there's no give in these things. If they're off, if it's just off a little bit, I mean, you probably wouldn't notice putting it together, but that'll put a load on it. And we just had somebody call Rich, I think last week or so, that had bought some control arms that had Delrin bushings in, and he hit a big chuck hole and just shattered a Delrin. I mean, Delrin only works if it's 100% perfect alignment and everything's square. Like when we do the Delrin bushings on the control arms of the race cars, the way I know it's ready is if I can lift the control arm up, it just kind of falls down at a gentle rate. You lift it up, it just falls like that. And I know I got it perfect. So these are what we use in the suspensions. This is actually for the IRS lower control arms. We use the urethane, and this is also the rear. The front rear bushing is as well. Here's the thing. Urethane is only good for things that go up and down, okay? Things that move up and down is perfect for urethane. Urethane is not good for rear control arms. And the reason for that is, I mean, everybody immediately, urethane's a buzzword, they put urethane control arms on. Well, if you're going a straight line, if it's a drag car and you're using urethane, it's perfect. It works absolutely perfect, straight. However, if you need to turn and go around a corner, what happens is in lower control arms, the urethane's not going to flex very much. There can be a little bit of flex in it, but hardly any. So what happens is it'll only flex so far. At that point, it goes into a bind. And when it's a bind, you run a suspension, the back of the car gets loose. I've had a number of people over the years call and say, they just can't control the back of the car. And find out they put urethane bushings in. And it just doesn't work that way. I'll go back even further, way back when, 87 with the Celine cars. I mean, we won all four national championships in SCCA Pro Endurance Racing. Okay, the cars were, they won. They just dominated. And I told Steve I'd win a championship. I tried to win a championship within 3 years. Actually, I won 4 championships in 2 years. So, my job was done. And, we kind of split ways. Well, the cars went up to Detroit, and somebody up there had the great idea. I didn't know what I was doing. They tore the cars completely apart. Okay, these are cars that just won 4 national championships. Tore them apart and started over, and they put urethane bushings in the back. Well, the first day of testing, Rick Titus told me that you couldn't drive the cars. The back of the car was so loose, you just couldn't drive them. So urethane is not what you use at the back. What we use at the back are rod ends. Now, we've dropped down to, everybody that has lower control ends or rod ends in the aftermarket uses 3/4. I dropped down to 5/8, but when I did, this is the JMX in the FK line, and it's like the super premium 3-piece Teflon lined, super high grade rod ends. And the reason these are rod ends, these are all zipped together. I actually have them, there's like different tightnesses you can get. I also have them built extra tight because I'm going to lose something sooner or later. But with a rod end, you get full articulation. The rod ends move. You got front and back rod ends. The whole thing can kind of roll around. The axle can roll, the body can roll, and everything works together. We do use Delron in one suspension piece, and that's on our new rear suspension. It's just a part of it, and you can see the 2 Delron bushings. However, this is a super precise fitting, and this is a piece that this moves up and down like that. But it's just absolutely super precise in the fitting all the way through. Even in the aluminum, you probably can't see it. Even in the aluminum arm, we have like lubricating bronze bushings. So everything is super precise, and that's our application for. Here's how hard that is, Delron. So Delron is, have never really recommended or suggested Delron for street cars. I think you can get into more problems than good. The other thing is there's absolutely no give in Delron, which means you shorten up you close up your window, mistake window. Anytime you start doing too many things and your mistake window starts shrinking, you have the opportunity to make mistakes. So that's kind of like urethane. We use urethane a lot. The only things that move up and down, we use rod ends for anything that has to articulate. And of course, we use Delron in absolute precise. When everything is precise, that's where we use the Delron.
Wow,
Okay.
Kenny, I think you need a little haircut. We're going to have to see what we need to do with that. So anyway, that was really good information. We always
that was good information.
Yeah.
And so, Rich, I'll send you the link to that video on YouTube. You can send it to our customers, I guess, the next time they ask. And
Sure.
and also, I don't know how the bandwidth was on that video for everybody who's out there viewing today. Hopefully, it came through good. If it doesn't, please let me know.
We did hear on our end, we did hear his voice. It did freeze a number of times, but we continue to hear his voice. So that was important. So we have a lot of people with us today. Fred Francher from Louisville. Alicia is here from Delaware. Joe Johnson, yay. Joe had Joe is our celebrity. He had an article written in Ford Performance. So we need to check that out. Eric Lehigh, Brian West, Jeff Lucina. Hi, Jeff. Good to see you. Calvin Goring. Brian West says that Delron is a trade name for acetyl homopolymer. So, acetyl homopolymer. So I should be able to say that. Anyway, Bill Haney, good to see you here. Mike Bowman, wonderful to see you. He says the audio was good, but video was freezing. That's what we had too. So we'll see if we can fix that for next time. And good morning from Cypress, Texas is where Mike is from. It's good to have all of you here. Let's give us some thumbs up. And Brad, what is your comment that you add at the beginning of the show all the time?
Well, if you're viewing on YouTube, please hit the like button. That's the big thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed to the Kenny Brown YouTube page or channel, please hit subscribe. And when you do, a little bell will show up next to it. And be sure you click the bell so you get notified every time we go live or we load up a tech video, which we do have some cool new tech videos that I'm working on right now that that'll be going up on YouTube over the holidays. If you're viewing on Facebook, be sure to give us a like or what we refer to as a heart-shaped wrench. And also leave a comment for us. Leave questions in the comments for the live Q&A portion at the end. Be sure to join our Speed Therapy Society Facebook group page. That's where you get the inside information on all kinds of cool stuff. And if you're viewing there today, be sure to give us one of those likes or those heart-shaped wrenches. And we appreciate everybody who does join in. It looks like we've got a pretty good group today. And so one thing that I did want to share, we had a picture from a viewer who's also a Speed Therapy Academy alumni member. This is a picture from his house. Hopefully it comes through. Okay, there's Jay Meyer's home in Buffalo, New York, where he claims that he got 5 foot of snow, and you'll see that there's a tree down in his backyard. Apparently the tree almost fell on he and his dog while they were out there removing snow. He also sent me a picture of a big tractor that he was using to plow snow out of his driveway. So Jay, if you're watching today, please try to stay warm. Jay, if you're viewing today as well, our friend Steve Calistini sent me a picture of the football stadium in Buffalo, and apparently the football game has been canceled or delayed, and the whole entire stadium was completely full of snow. I've never seen anything like that. So if you're up there in the New England area or in the Northeast, try to stay safe, because it looks like it's a real snowmageddon, snowpocalypse. They're calling it thunder snow, but I don't know. I'm here in Florida, and the cold front has hit us as well, and I believe it has dipped down into the 50s.
Oh,
60s is where we put on jeans. Thankfully, I'm indoors today. I'm trying to stay inside as long as I can until this goes away. But we did get hit by a hurricane, so we're not immune from natural disasters, so to speak. So
it looks like Alex Marin said that the game has moved to Detroit. That was
okay.
Pretty interesting, yeah.
Yeah,
that was
so chalk that up as a first, I guess. So,
yeah, That's incredible. Okay.
If they were going to move it, I'd have gone.
Calvin Goring. Calvin says it's sunny and 45 in Connecticut today. So I guess that's great. Rory is in British Columbia. And so I don't know where Maple Ridge is. I guess if that's close to Vancouver, that's okay. But if it's anywhere outside of Vancouver, then it's always beautiful up there that time of year. I know that, and they get some good snow as well. So anyway, do you want to talk about dispelling a couple of myths
let's
before we talk memorabilia?
Yep, let's do that.
Okay, so
Mythbuster.
Okay, so we're gonna try not to do this every week, and I'm gonna see if I can figure out how to make this work again. This whole screen sharing thing has got me a little baffled sometimes.
Yeah, it's a little more difficult. It's more difficult than people realize. Here we go.
Okay, perfect. Here we go. So ran across an article in a popular magazine, and they always have great content, just for the record. But there were a few things that were published that I kind of wanted to talk about, and I'll start from the beginning. They say much of their tire testing uses a skid pad to determine hot tire pressures, and the number one thing I want to point out is we don't do testing on a skid pad typically, because that doesn't give you a very accurate description of what's going on. It really doesn't give you an accurate depiction of anything. And Kenny has talked multiple times, or several viewers have posted the question to him, does he ever use a skid pad, or how many G's can a car hold grip wise on a skid pad? And he'll just flat out tell you that he doesn't use skid pads at all, that it doesn't, it's the information isn't valuable. But so if you were going to do that, hopefully you don't, here's how you would do it. Make a good estimate for a tire pressure starting point. If there's a range, inflate the tires to the high side of that figure. So first off, don't do that because the tires are going to grow in pressure as they start to build heat. And what's going to happen is if you start at the highest pressure point, say it's 35 PSI or whatever the manufacturer's recommendation is for a max pressure, the tires are just going to get super greasy at some point within the first lap, and at some point within the second or third lap, you're just going to drive off the racetrack. So that's not good. But if you were going to use this method, time 3 hard clockwise, counterclockwise laps around a skid pad. Okay, and then
so that's another.
After that, drop the pressures by 4 psi all the way around. Repeat steps 2 and 3, and note the pressures that produce the fastest laps. So my BS meter is pretty high on this. It's like red alert. Don't do this. First off, you always want to start your pressures low and let them build high as a general rule of thumb. But we'll move on to the second one here because it gets worse. Use a probe type pyrometer to confirm the fastest pressures. Okay, well, so we use pyrometer data to tell us how much of a footprint the tire has on the pavement, and it tells us a lot about the chassis setup on the car. Your fastest pressure on a skid pad does not relate to your fastest or your most consistent time on a road course or even an autocross course. So there's okay information there. I mean, yeah, you should always use a pyrometer, but that's not going to tell you what your fastest pressures are. The two things are completely irrelevant. If they're a little bit colder on the outside edge, that's okay. If the temperatures in the center are too high, the tire is running too much air. Okay, so maybe number 6 is, there's a little bit of merit to that, but the general rule of thumb is you want the tire temperatures to be as even across the tire as possible. And if the temperature in the center is too high, then yeah, the tire is running too much air. But then they go on to say, when in doubt, trust the clock, not the pyrometer. So that's not what we we do. We always trust the pyrometer. We make all of our decisions on chassis setup based on what the pyrometer is telling us. And just because you have one great flying lap with 34 PSI of pressure in your tire doesn't mean that you're going to have 15 or 20 or 50 or 100 consistent laps with that pressure in the tire. But then they go on to note tires cool as they sit. So waiting even a minute to measure a tire's temperature can render the data almost useless. And so that's super high on my BS meter, because that is completely not true at all. And first off, you're using a probe type pyrometer. So you're taking the temperature below the surface of the tire itself. You're taking a temperature that's inside the rubber, at least 2 or 3 millimeters, let's say.
Hey Brad, can you switch to the next screen, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So where was I? So anyway, if the tire sets for 2 or 3 or 4 minutes, I mean, you can pull your car into the paddock and you can give yourself a minute to gather up your thoughts, get out of the car, and then take your tire temperatures. I mean, the temperatures are going to be slightly lower than they were, let's say, when you pulled into pit lane or something like that. But they're still going to lose temperature at a relatively consistent rate. You're still going to be able to get a pretty good reading. So next, they went on to talk a little bit about chassis setup, and they had some fancy diagrams.
Brad, I'm going to interrupt you. Yeah, you're on the wrong slide.
Yeah, I know. I'm moving on to another one now.
Okay.
So they went on to talk a little bit about chassis setup, and they had some okay information in there. But when they were talking about oversteer and understeer, it made me think a lot about how Kenny defined those terms. And so what they say is one end of your car gripping better than the other. If the front wheels are sliding before the rears, then you're experiencing understeer. The Circle Track crowd calls this a push. Well, just for the record, the Circle Track crowd also calls that understeer, but Kenny's definition is much better. His definition is understeer is when the front of the car hits the wall first. And he's pretty famous for saying that, and I like his definition much better. But then they go on to say if the rear wheels are losing traction first, then it's called oversteer. This is known as being loose in Circle Track parlance. And so parlance is a word that I wasn't that familiar with, so I had to go to Webster and look it up. And apparently it's a word that's never used in racing. But nonetheless, Kenny's definition is much better, of course. Oversteer is when the rear of the car hits the wall first. And so I think that if you look at what his definitions are versus what their definitions are, it's much easier to understand, and it's way more fun. And then so finally, last but not least, they're talking about chassis setup, and they have some recommendation on ways to fix things. And so all the information below on the chart is pretty good, but I wanted to look at the first 4 things, and they give you a chart to decrease understeer or to decrease oversteer, and they talk about front and rear tire pressures and how you can lower them or raise them. That is completely BS. The tire pressures are going to be the tire pressures, and the tire is going to work at whatever the best recommended pressure is, or whatever pressure you show is the best through really good, accurate testing and taking good data. So do not change the pressures of your tires to try to fix a chassis or a handling issue. That's not going to work. And then secondly, the front tire cross-section width and the rear tire cross-section width. I'm
going to interrupt you one more time, because we're getting a lot of comments. They can't see the screen, the slide that you're supposed to be on. We're still on the first slide.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, they'd like to see the chart that you're talking about.
Okay, this is great. So Can everybody see that one?
Yes.
Okay. So we won't go back, but we'll go to this one because this one was the most critical. Although I did like this cone. So that was really cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think Jeff Lucina might have posted that if he's viewing today. So I took that image from you, stole it. Anyway, so here's the chart, and I hope everybody likes my meter down below.
We love it.
Yes, so bottom line is we're all driving Mustangs, so we want to put as big a tire on the car as we can possibly put on there. And one thing that you don't want to do is change the size or the width of your tire to try to tune the chassis. That is all the way up there on the BS meter. Absolutely do not do that. Stick as much tire underneath the car as you can possibly get, period. And then use the sway bars and the shocks and the springs and other things like that to tune the chassis on the car. So anyway, I'll stop sharing now. And we'll go back. Okay, there you go. So again, hopefully we don't do that every week, but there's a lot of bad information out there. And one thing that Kenny always used to say is don't believe anything that you read on the internet and don't believe anything that you hear in the paddock, because those are the two biggest sources of misinformation. And you basically follow the rule of thumb. Follow Kenny's rules. He's talked about them multiple times in multiple videos. He's preached it from here to there in the academy for those folks who are fortunate enough to go through that program. And you want to take data, you want to keep a notebook, you want to consult with real tire professionals. If you're running street tires, your pressures are not going to be 35 pounds when you go out onto the track. They're going to be like 28 pounds, and they're probably going to work best at 32 to 34 pounds. If you're running a 200 or 100 tread wear street legal tire, those tires are probably going to operate somewhere in the same pressure ranges. If you're running real race tires or DOT race tires that mostly have a slick tread, the manufacturer is going to tell you what pressure they want that tire to operate at, or they're going to give you a very finite range. And in most cases, that's going to be 32 PSI. And so Michelin slicks, Michelin slicks might run on the lower extreme of that. I've seen people who run Hoosiers and Toyos all the way up as high as 40 pounds. Each tire is a little bit different. Don't use a skid pad. Always use a pyrometer. Always use a probe type pyrometer, and make sure that you have a good quality pressure gauge. The one at Harbor Freight may not be as accurate as the one that you get from Joe's or Intercomp or one of the others. So anyway, we can move on now because I've burned up too much time there.
That's fine. Just Dylan has a comment. He says, one of my favorite things I remember that Kenny says is that you always make a change with the end goal in mind. And that is so true. So maybe we'll share some of his philosophy in the next session.
And here's another thing that Kenny used to say, not quite as often. The tachometer is not the applause meter. And so remember that, folks. Red line is getting close to the BS line.
Well, that kind of leads me into, we've been talking about coming out with an apparel line and some hats and coffees and things like that. That is in the works. In fact, I think we are going to vote. Give us some thumbs up or in the comments if you think the tachometer is not the applause meter. If that should be on a t-shirt. So let us know if you like that one. Next weekend, we typically are off during holiday weekends. Brad and I are going to be on next weekend, and we're going to be showing some of our new apparel and some of our new products that we're bringing out that you'll be able to purchase. And we're mainly, you might want to have your wife watch because this is mainly products for you, from you, or for you from your significant other. So just kind of think about that. Again, next Saturday, Cars and Coffee at 10 a.m. We will be showing some of the products we're coming out. We're continually coming out with more and more products. So that fun little inexpensive products that I think you'll love. A lot of them are a tribute to Kenny. So again, join us next Thursday, not Thursday, because that's Thanksgiving, next Saturday. So I'm also going to put a link in the comments. We are raising money for the Gary Sinise Foundation, and I'm going to put a link so we're going to be raising money through the end of this month. We thought it would be good to start on Veterans Day and then finish off right after Thanksgiving. So through the end of this month, we'll be raising money. I'll put the link, and we would love for you to donate. I know Tim Allen has already donated, and I think a couple more people in here have as well. So we really appreciate those donations. Brad, can you tell them a little bit more about the Gary Sinise Foundation, in case they don't know about it?
Yeah, so it's a great foundation. Gary has been a huge advocate for helping veterans of foreign wars, and many people know him as Captain Dan, I guess. Somehow I went off screen. Yeah, so many folks know him as Captain Dan, I guess, but from Bubba Gump, I think that's the name of the movie. So super cool guy. It's a very worthwhile charity. He does great things. He's not doing it for profit. So it's a very good, trustworthy foundation. And my wife and Cari, and as well as several others, have supported him over the years. And he's just a great guy, and it's a great cause. So donate if you can. If you can't, that's okay too.
Okay, so I think it's time to get into the memorabilia section of this show. So what has brought this up is that besides losing Kenny this year, I had a huge flood in our basement. I went on vacation for a week, or left for a week, and came back and found it 2 weeks later. There's over 5 inches of rain or water standing in the basement. All the shelves that I had on the bottom shelves, everything was completely destroyed. And a lot of that stuff was Kenny Brown memorabilia. So I was sick about that. I was able to salvage some of it. And I thought, well, let's just kind of show what we have. And because it's like we go through these boxes. Rich was kind of helping me, and Brad's helped me. And it's like we go through these boxes full of wet, soggy stuff. But you stop and you spend hours looking through these boxes of things that he's done, all the way back from before Kenny Brown performance, what he did before that, and what he's done, the little programs that nobody knows that he was working on. So I thought it would be a kind of fun to show some of that, and I thought we would start with showing some of his workbooks, aren't they? Yeah, the shop manuals.
Shop manuals.
And yeah,
this is kind of where Ken built his knowledge and foundation, and this is the culmination of his life and what actually grew into working on Mustangs.
And so if you can see, and he has many more shop manuals that we had to throw away, but as you can see, a lot of them are moldy and wet. But I tried to save some of them, and we'll just show some of the cars he used to work on. So he worked on, regular old sports cars, the Audi, the what is this? The Mercedes Benz, another Audi book, BMW.
And that was kind of Ken's foundation. He really
Porsche.
enjoyed the BMWs.
Land Rover. I mean, all of you can get these books, but what's interesting, the MGB. So those are some of his average sports cars. He had a sports car shop. I can't remember how many years. It was called Mini Sport, and it won best in class year after year for the best sports car shop. So he would maintain a lot of race cars, sports cars, and then also repair some of them. So how many people remember the Hunter Ranger? Remember that car? Pretty interesting, huh? I bet you didn't know he worked on these. And all these cars, I kind of gave him his background for how he sets up the Mustang and any other performance American sports car. He has a European type flair to how his cars handle. Here is the Rover. How many remember the Rover? Pretty interesting stuff. And what is this? This is I don't know what this is. This is what was damaged. It was just, after it dried, it was stuck. And I thought this was, he loved doing
That's a
the M.
Datsun.
That's a Datsun.
Yep.
I think this is just a book, though. I don't think this is
Oh,
a
okay.
manual. Yeah. It was
Childhood books, it looks like.
yeah. So anyway, that was just in with his manuals. He also, again, this got destroyed in the flood. It's an MG midget. He loved the MG midgets. I think he owned a couple himself, but anyway, these are just wonderful pieces of history for him. This one,
Kenny had a lot of racing customers that drove midgets as well, and bug-eyed sprites and anything that kind of looked like a midget or was a midget car. Kenny was the go-to guy to work on those, and he probably had a dozen customers that ran SCCA. They autocrossed and they road raced all types of cars like Datsuns and midgets and Triumphs and MGs and bug-eyed sprites. And some he worked on some cars that were pretty ugly that I've never heard of too. He built several Myers Minks. Is that true, Carrie? Myers Minks?
They're right here. So, and look at how dirty this, and Kenny's not a dirty guy, but look how,
It got well used.
yeah, I don't know if he bought this from somebody or what, because this is not a typical way Kenny keeps his books, but that was pretty interesting. And the Minx, I'll read in here some of the other vehicles, offsprings from that. It was the Hillman Minx 6, the Hillman Super Minx 4, the Humber, not Hummer, Humber Scepter, the Singer Gazelle, the Singer Vogue, the Sunbeam Alpine, and the Sunbeam Raptor. So you can see some of those. I don't know if that's kind of blurry, but anyway, this is some of the things he did. And again, he learned a lot. Obviously, he was talented to be able to maintain, fix, and help race all these vehicles. But he really learned a lot about and kind of molded the way he liked cars to perform and to handle and feel. And that's why his Mustangs feel more European style feeling than American style feel car. His cars are just phenomenal how they handle. So that was kind of his mini sport years. And as I go through some more information, I'll try to pull out more and more information.
Brian West has a great comment. He says that, well, first off, he says MG is celebrating 100 years next year in 2023, but he also says that MGs are job security for any mechanic. And Carrie, I think you and Rich, you as well, how many times have we said, or have we heard Kenny say that Jaguars are really good job security for any mechanic? And so Kenny worked on all types of Jaguars, E-types mostly. And anyone out there who's viewing that knows anything about the E-type Jaguars or any of that era of Jaguars knows that in fact they were job security for any mechanic, and that was the car that Kenny probably disliked and liked the most, I would say. So the Jaguar had some really makings and underpinnings, but they had a terrible fuel injection system.
Yeah, the Porsche, not Porsche, the Jaguars kept him racing, we'll say, from the profit from fixing them all the time. Yeah, it was kind of bittersweet. He hated those cars, but they kept coming in.
Loved that he could make money off of them.
So this next little thing I found, this is just another little piece of history of what Kenny did. Not many people know this, he was the March 2000 U.S. distributor in the U.S. So what he would do is he would actually build the cars, maintain them for race customers. And he actually worked with a gentleman named Dave Bendo. And Dave Bendo and him, they developed this really cool suspension and just really took the base March 2000 and expanded it into a very well handling car. And I can't remember the name of the driver, but they won a ton of races with the March 2000 that they had developed. And I'm going to show you some of the blueprints from this. But what's interesting about this is where he learned the rule that they had the most well-developed vehicle, just top of the line, everything, and just it was was overkill almost. And what he learned is that you can have the best vehicle and the best thing out there, but if somebody can't work on it at the track or in the garage, it's not going to sell for a race car. So he learned that principle. And if you look at all the products he has, they're very well engineered and well built, but they're very easy to install and maintain. And that stuck with him from working through the March 2000 program. He has all the, I'll just show you a few of these.
And when Kenny had the March Sports 2000 program, the name of the company at the time was DB Sport, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, Dave Benbow.
Yeah.
DB Sport. And I have some more things on Dave Benbow and DB Sport, but I just like everything is a mess because we had people in cleaning up the basement and didn't put things where they belong. So it's going to take longer for me to clean it up now. Anyway, here's some, I don't think you can see that very well, but here's some of the damage. I mean, this is just extremely small sampling of the blueprints. There was one in here that I was going to show. So here's the March symbol, but can you guys tell? Well, that one's too easy to tell. That's a bolt. But here, see if you can guess what this is. What is this part? I'll hold it there for just a minute. What is that drawing a picture of? I don't think anybody will guess. If you have an idea, put it in the comments. And here's the March 2000. And there's a hint that says right there what it is. So anyway, the March 2000 is it's a bush housing column support. So I'll show that one more time. Bush column housing support. So anyway, these I just found it interesting. I was almost crying when I saw all those ruined. So anyway, we will go on. I'm going to show this picture right back here. I don't know if you can see it. Rich, maybe, I don't know if we want to take it off the wall or not. Can you see that, Brad?
Yeah.
Picture, Kenny? Okay. And Calvin, you are in this picture.
Oh, look,
that?
there's Calvin.
Yeah,
He's wearing a hat and a red jacket. And I think that was the Kenny Brown. That was either the Red Rocket or it was the C4S Cobra, which would have been the 96 or 97, maybe.
C4S.
Yeah, that was a C4S. A Red Rocket was a C4S. But yeah, so there's Kenny driving, and if you can see the front hole up there, this got wet too. I'm just sick about it, but I found it and I thought it would be kind of cool. I'd like to get that restored because it would be really cool to have that hanging in our office. So anyway,
and what's that picture? What's the picture below that? That's the number 20 car. Oh wow, yeah, I remember that.
And that got damaged too. This is a big collector's item. It has all the signatures of the drivers and the people that were involved in the Winnie and Celine race program in '87. And you can't see it, but it's just damaged here. I'm just sick about it. So I'm going to jump ahead a little bit because I'm going to share stuff. Please give me a thumbs up or let me know in the comments if you're enjoying this, if you want to see more of this stuff. So here's the 87, it's an 88 calendar, but it's from the 87 Winnie and Celine Championship. This is a General Tire calendar. Yeah. And they're in the center fold. See, there's all the General Tire cars are in here. And right here is the 19 Celine. So this calendar was given, Kenny had a bunch of these at Project 6 Race Shop. That's what his business was when running the Celine race program. So it was Project 6 Race Shop. So anyway, we had a whole box of these. What were you going to say, Brad?
I was going to say, if you notice, you can also see the Ford Ranger, the number 19 Ford Ranger. And so a lot of people don't know that Celine raced the Ford Ranger. They had a truck series that as part of the Escort Endurance Racing series. And so Kenny built 2 or 3 Ford Ranger trucks that Celine also campaigned for a year or two. And so a lot of people don't talk about those, but Kenny built the Rangers for the racing program. And after that, he built 2 or 3 Kenny Brown sport trucks that were actually Rangers. I have a picture of one in the archives of a red Ford Ranger sport truck that he built for a customer who was a truck guy and followed the Saline racing program and the trucks. So there's another cool piece of history for you.
So anyway, again, Project 6 Race Shop. We have a number of these that were damaged. This one's damaged too. If you can see, we had a whole box of these in the basement. And Kenny would be sick about this. But anyway, so I throw a lot of these out, but there's still a few left. It's a collector's item. And we are going to give this, not this one, we're going to give a better one away today. So if you would like to win this, put Project 6 Race Shop in the comments, and you'll have the opportunity to win this calendar. So it's pretty cool memorabilia, especially if you're a Saline person. So
and so Tim Allen has a question. He says, what engines were in the Rangers? And Rich, let me know if I'm wrong, but I believe that those were the 2.3 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engines.
As far as I know, they were 4 cylinders. So yeah. I'm pretty certain you're correct.
Yeah. And so Fred Francher had a good comment going back to some earlier discussion. He says, if you could fix Lucas electronic problems, you had all the work you could handle. And so, yeah, that was one of the big problems with the Jaguars and other European cars is Lucas electronics. They were just terrible. I think anybody who knows anything about it would vouch for that. Tim Allen says, I loved my old 87 Ranger 4x4. His had the 2.9 liter. And we've got some other people who are commenting. Again, be sure in the comment section, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, type in Project 6 Race Shop if you want to be entered to win the vintage General Tire calendar.
And give us a thumbs up too, because that helps us a little bit. So here is something else Saline related. This is how press got their information way back when. So if you see, there's a little General Tire stamp right there, Motorsports. And this one is all press kits came with pictures. So there's a 2986 season, and this one was from Road Atlanta. What I find interesting is here's some information on General Tire. They have a press kit, and then they have a photo of their new tire in here, which is pretty cool. And then all the drivers are listed in here. Here's a picture of Saline. This is a bio on him. And I missed him again. That's a picture. Okay. Oh, here's Rick Titus. He drove an 86. We also have one on the girls. We have, as Ken would call them, the girls, on Lisa Caceres and Desiree Wilson. And then I don't know where Steve's. I keep losing his, and I think Ken has something to do with this.
That's the one with the car. Ken keeps pulling it out.
Yeah, Ken keeps pulling Saline's photo out. Earlier.
They sold a ton of XP 2000 tires, General did, from that.
So anyway, this is kind of interesting. This is how they did the old press kits. I actually did a number of press kits for Kenny for all our products and cars and our motorsports stuff, just like this. So that I thought that was interesting. Here's a story, people to watch for, saying that Kenny Brown was a person to watch for in the motorsports arena. Thought that was interesting. Here's a little bit of a funny. This used to hang on his wall in Omaha, and it says, leave matches at home and come
keep your clothes on.
Keep your clothes on. So can anybody guess what racetrack they're referring to in that? So, of course, I can't hear you. So put it in the comments if you have an idea of what racetrack they're referring to. So what I'll read you a little thing. It says Sebring, that's the track. Sebring officials are banning open fires and discouraging racing rock concerts at the Fall Festival of Racers, which starts today. And then down here in the fine print, it says, we plan to keep a low profile, but we will not tolerate any extreme nonsense, especially sexual misconduct. So anyway.
No more misconduct at the racetrack, like that ever happened.
So
I'm going to call BS on that one too. I'm going to have to post up my BS meter, because anyone who's been to Sebring knows that what we affectionately refer to as Green Park is a place that is a lot like the Las Vegas of South Florida, because what happens in Green Park stays in Green Park, but you'll see it all, or you'll see it all with nothing covering it.
That's good. Okay, what time is it? I don't want to run too late. Okay, I'm going to show a couple more things here. And then, like I said, I could go hours and hours.
Ooh, Outlaw Mustangs.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to hold up. So this is way back when. This is how your brochures came. I mean, it was just pretty basic. So this was one of our first brochures on the Outlaw Mustangs by Kenny Brown. Bad to the bone. Yeah, he loved to come up with a lot of slogans and different things. And so anyway, this was one of them. We also have another brochure we're trying to find. It's a really cool outlaw with bullet holes in it and stuff. It's pretty cool. We'll find that and show it to you. But the reason I want to show you that is I've been talking almost every week about the tribute outlaw cars. So we're building a number of those. And I just found it interesting that I ran across this. Here's another picture of Kenny at Topeka. Lynn was driving in one of his cars, and this was one of Kenny's favorite photos he had in his office. And you think it looks like Lynn is scolding him, but his memory is that Lynn was kind of telling him little tweaks she wanted done to the car. And this was just a very fond memory of his. Lynn actually, many people don't know this, but Lynn actually subcontracted office space in our building on Gasoline Alley. And so that was always nice. We saw her quite a bit and we're pretty close to her. So that was interesting. I'm going to mention a couple other things again about Thanksgiving weekend. We are going to be live again next Saturday if you want to join us. And we are going to be showing some of our apparel that we're going to be releasing. Thank you. And so we'll have some t-shirts. We'll have cups, tumblers. We're coming out with a coffee line, which will not be available next weekend. But we'll, throughout the coming weeks, we'll be introducing new things every week. So whatever we have this week, we'll have hats. We're going to have some hoodies, just a whole Kenny Brown line of soft goods. So we'll be coming out with just corporate Kenny Brown logo, the Cars and Coffee, new Cars and Coffee logo. Can you believe that? Finally, after a year and a half, we're developing the Cars and Coffee logo. And then we also will be bringing out the new Kenny Brown Tribute Collection logo. And there's a really cool story behind that. So when we show you the logo and the items that it's on, we'll tell you a little bit more about that story and how that was developed. So, Brad, what do you think?
Well, I think we have 7 people so far who have left a comment in the comment section that says Project 6 Race Shop. You have to type that out in the comment section if you want to be entered to win the vintage General Tire calendar featuring the number 19 Celine Mustang along with other Kenny Brown oddities.
So,
so we've got some comments, but most of the comments are Project 6 Race Shop, of course, which is good. Let's see here.
Anything else you guys would like to see? I see Rory says he wants to see any of the original logos, and we can bring those out. I almost brought one today.
What about this? So this is great. Carrie, show this. Now, anybody who has seen, there's a picture floating around, and we'll have to dig it up. It's a picture of Ken who's sitting on the hood of his race car, which at the time was black. It was a black race car. It kind of had some orange and yellow accents. I'm sure it was very menacing in your rearview mirror. if he was coming up behind you. But on the front of the hood of that car, it had the KB Tweaks logo on it. And so that was a real thing kind of at the beginning of his Mustang days when he went out on his own. And the caricatures are awesome.
So if you remember Kenny from his earlier days, he had a big bushy mustache, not quite as big as this. And Brad, maybe we should, because this is all frumpled from the water. I don't know if you can see that, but we might have to scan this and let you see them because they're pretty cool. You can see he has a wrench in one hand. He's doing a whole bunch of different mechanic type stuff. This is the name of his company that he wanted to do carry forward, and it turned into Kenny Brown Performance instead because we wanted to use more of his name. But I find that really interesting that's what he came up with. And I just wanted to read something. This is from another brochure that he put out. And you see, there he is right there. And that's that's a bright yellow driving suit. And we'll try to come up with a color photo of that. But I found this interesting. I was reading it. He talks about his product and said, every product offered through our KB Tweaks Performance Parts division has been evaluated for performance, integrity, reliability, and value. You won't find any hype or trick parts promising magical estimated horsepower in our store. You will get the highest quality performance upgrades that work the first time and every time. With technical assistance and direction from our performance experts, you can be assured of maximum performance per dollar invested. We're here to help you because we don't just sell performance, we live it. And that is so true. Kenny has brought that philosophy through from day one all the way to today. We are all trained to give excellent customer service, excellent support before, during, and after the sale, and excellent technical advice. And that's part of the reason why he shared so much on Cars and Coffee and through his other programs. So let's see. I also wanted to let you know that we are looking for calling all car owners. If you have a Kenny Brown serialized car or a Kenny Brown equipped car, we're looking for, and you want to be featured on our Instagram or our Facebook channel, please send your photo. We prefer a photo of you next to your car, along with photos of your car, and a description of your car and how you came to have your car, how you use it, or your passion for it. And send that to info@kennybrown.com. That's info@kennybrown.com. And we may feature you on an Instagram or Facebook page. And by the way, our Instagram channel is getting a makeover. So if you haven't subscribed to, I don't know if you subscribe to Instagram, do you? I'm not a big Instagram person. But anyway, join the Instagram, Kenny Brown. It's Kenny Brown Performance Instagram, and see what we're doing on there. That's pretty fun. Okay, I think it's time to give away this calendar. What do you say?
Well, we've got a few more comments. Joe Johnson says he's looking forward to seeing the clothing, shirts, hats, etc., and I am as well. Tim Allen said. Tim Allen says you should scan the Outlaw brochure onto your website. I'd like to get a better look at that. Now, I believe, if I'm not wrong, Cari, we have a few or several of those old black Outlaw brochures somewhere. So I don't know if maybe we can dig those up if we do have more than one. We'll send one to you, Tim. Otherwise, Rich or somebody will scan it, and we'll get it put up on the website, or put it up on maybe the Kenny Brown Speed Therapy Society Facebook group page, which is where you can go to get all kinds of cool stuff like that and see vintage pictures of Kenny. I have been collecting some more vintage photos that I've either taken pictures of them or I've scanned them digitally. And so I will, over the holidays, when we have a little more time, I'm going to post up just random stuff from the old days. And so everybody might remember a couple of years ago during Christmas and during New Year's, I did a whole complete run, like every hour or every 2 hours, I would post up a picture of a person that drove a Kenny Brown race car or Kenny Brown prepared race car, We've got some more vintage stuff like that that's coming. So we're gonna make it fun over the holidays and post up some cool old school stuff from the archives.
So that's good. So let us know if you're enjoying this and if you want to see more. If you don't want to see more and you want more tech, let us know. We have a number of really cool guests coming up. We keep promising this, but the automotive industry even now is busy because we're doing trade shows. So we're off the racetrack and now we're doing trade shows. And then the holidays. So January, we should have a really good lineup of people. We have, again, Donald Farr that's coming on. Not all these are going to be in January. We still are trying to touch base with Donnie on transmission tech. We also have somebody on brake pads tech. What else?
Wings.
Wings. We have somebody on aero that's going to be coming on. So we have a lot of people lined up. If there's
And we also have Ben from Impact Racing who's going to be coming on. Well, I need to reach out to him and figure out when he's going to be in Indy, but we want to try to do another live from the Indy studio show and tell with Ben O'Connor from Impact Racing. So I'll be working on that. I want to do that between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Ben's always a great guest. He talks tech on safety. It gives all the viewers the perfect opportunity to get their safety questions in while he's live with us, and he'll show us either whatever's new or whatever's cool.
Okay, I think it's time to choose the winner of the.
Well, yep. And so we have 7 people who have been diligent enough to type in the secret code phrase. So Cari, why don't you just randomly pick a number between 1 and 7, or maybe have Rich do it.
I already had it picked before this even started. Number 6.
Okay. And so let's see. Number 6 is, I'll have to count. So give me just 1 second here.
Okay. So again, if you want to donate to the Gary Sinise Foundation, we would really like that, especially with the Thanksgiving holiday. We have the link in the comments, and it's also on our Facebook page. Next week, I'm really excited about this. I hope we have enough of the products here so we can actually show you in person. Otherwise, we'll have mock-ups of our hats and our t-shirts and coffee mugs and all that good stuff. So I'm really excited to show you the Kenny Brown Tribute Collection logo along with the Cars and Coffee logo. So
okay, so I have a winner.
Okay.
And I have a question.
Okay.
The winner, of course, is Rory Merck from British Columbia. And I just want to know, Rory, did you wait to make sure that you were the 6th person to comment? And if so, I'm wondering maybe if you're psychic. Rory's won more than once, I think.
Yeah, so, he is. He's lucky. He is very lucky.
Well, see, he's rewarded for being a loyal viewer, and congratulations to Rory for another big win. And so Cari and Rich will make sure to get the calendar out to you this week, and I'm pretty sure they have your address on file.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Lots of really fun comments, and I know we enjoy doing this, and we'll probably do it once in a while. So here is, I want to end with this quote, and this is so Kenny. This is a quote he wrote, and it's on our website if you want to see it again. It says, "My life's mission and purpose is to help more people like yourself enjoy their car lifestyle by sharing the accumulation of my lifetime of experiences in professional motorsports and the high-performance car building arena, helping you maximize your driving experience." And that's exactly what Ken wanted. He loved teaching in his later years. That's why we have Cars and Coffee today. That's why he started the Speed Therapy Academy, and that's why he did a number of workshops. So we're carrying on that legacy, and we're all very passionate about it. We appreciate you following along with us and enjoying us sharing this information.
Now, one of the things that I've been trying to push towards is carry on the Kenny Brown legacy. And we're going to change the name of it to CARI. And Cari's going to be the one hosting. So I'm trying to get her convinced that she needs to do this. But there's so many, when Brad talked about going through and pulling out some of the pictures out of the boxes, people don't realize there's 40, 50, 60 boxes of Kenny Brown history, and every box is a story and a pathway. And so going through a box turns into hours of reminiscing and looking through. So there's a lot of things that I think people would enjoy, but I'm pushing to get the Carry On the Kenny Brown legacy up. So anyone can come in and post on it, and I need some support to make that happen. So anyway, so that's my side of it.
Sounds like when we were trying to decide was Kenny Brown Cars and Coffee or Cars and Coffee with Kenny Brown. So anyway, it was great seeing you, and we will see you next Saturday after Thanksgiving. And everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving and be thankful for your family that you have. Love you. Bye-bye.